rail that was seen as a negative, that was portrayed as a negative thing. People in Xinjiang still have freedom to travel in that regard, okay? Under the hukou system, which needs desperate reform, there are obviously limitations to travel and how much you can, internally travel inside of China. But many of these people that are criticizing me don't even know what the fuck that is anyway. And they're now going to Google it and be like, Hasan didn't bring this up, or talk about the severity of the structure.
Can people in Xinjiang
My hub campaigns. Hold on.
While the Chinese government claims people in Xinjiang, including Uyghurs, are free to travel both within and outside of the country, there are widespread reports of travel restrictions and surveillance. Travel for some Uyghurs, particularly those outside of a few key cities in northern Xinjiang, is severely restricted. Chinese government also asserts that travel restrictions are only imposed on individuals suspected of crimes. Yeah, so no, this is like, okay, I'm sorry. So Hasan just happened to leave out information that if you're a Uyghur Muslim, then your travel is still heavily and severely restricted. Okay, but okay, thank you, Hasan. Okay, I guess if you're Han Chinese, right, who live in the Xinjiang region, I guess you're freely able to travel, right? Also, by the way, I like how it's the Chinese government that's claiming this, and Hasan just takes it at face value from the Chinese government, by the way, from the from the Chinese government. Like, okay, dude, okay, buddy, all right, I got you.
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
Homie so squared her last name Enix.
Hey, thank you so much, Dio, for the $2. I appreciate that. Guys, remember to sign up to oro.com/foodshops, okay? All right, listen, one sign up, even one sign would just make my day, okay? Thank you guys so much. All right.
Hold on. How do I change the goal? Is it not allowed? Can I not change the goal after?
He did make his reaction to the content nuke as long as possible on purpose to dilute the arguments of Ethan. Nasty but clever way to react without exposing your stupid to your audience, which is why I have to step in. I'm kidding. Okay. But yeah, no, that's true. Yes, that's actually a legitimate strategy. Okay, you want to milk it for as long as possible. You want to make it because do you know what he's gonna say now? Do you know what he's gonna say? He's now going to say, okay, guys, well, you know, if you actually want to give a good faith critique of me, watch my 9-hour video, watch my 10-hour video, watch more than 24 hours of Hasan content if you want to debunk me. Oh, okay, dude, I got you.
To the campaign, actually. Oh, here, I'm changing it. I'm doubling it. Double or nothing, baby.
Which is why, in my opinion, this is like bad faith, right? It's a bad faith. It's a bad faith way to avoid criticism. Yeah.
Boom. We're only 8 minutes and 32 seconds into the video, and we've already fundraised $72,000. Are you still giving money so you will stop this torture? What? Okay. You have gained me from H3 high new father. So one must ask the question, why Ethan Klein refuses to actually engage in any of the things that I'm saying, uses out of context clips, and also simultaneously has a very different standard for what China's doing as opposed to what Israel is doing. Okay?
Why is he still wearing that ugly ass outfit? Isn't it just like a red suit? That's it.
What the fuck's going on here? It doesn't make any sense. I'm actually morally consistent on this process. He's the one who's not. Now, isn't Israel's activity in between lawn mowings essentially what China does in its worst moments? Exactly. That's why I brought that up.
He's going to say, I already debunked the arguments of Ethan in this 9-hour video that nobody will ever watch. Yes, I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense and doesn't address his criticism. And even then, even now, like we're like 1 hour in and, you know, there's already lots of problems, right? There's already lots of problems with this and we're not even like, we're not even 2 hours in, right?
If China did what Israel did to Xinjiang, we would nuke China. Okay? Understand something. If China did what Israel did to the Palestinians in Xinjiang, we would nuke China tomorrow. And if Israel did what China is...
We would not. Okay, I don't know why he keeps on making these like humorous exaggerations, the little witty like exaggerations, but it helps nobody. Okay, like if you're trying to point out double standards, it probably does not help that you're making these absolutely ridiculous exaggerations. But
China did in Xinjiang as a part of its like rehabilitation or re-education vocational training campaign or whatever the fuck the Chinese government calls it, they would consider that to be a pathway towards infinite peace. Can you imagine where Palestinians will now have freedom of travel into other parts of Israel, into greater Israel, mass detention, and the subsequent...
Okay, no, by the way, okay, if you're a Uyghur, again, you have severe travel limitations, all right? So I don't know why he's saying this, okay? And even if you travel, all right, there's reports of strict severe surveillance and tracking of movements, even if you're somebody from Xinjiang who is traveling outside of Xinjiang in order to travel to other parts of the region, right?
Re-education inside of these like supposed vocational training schools or whatever, but then in the aftermath of that they have, you know, full-blown citizenship and access to the same fucking resources. That would never happen in a million years. Netanyahu would get a Nobel Peace Prize. Netanyahu would get every single Nobel Peace Prize for the rest of time.
True. Okay, sorry. Uyghur. Okay.
Also, speaking of organ harvesting, I mean, that's, you know.
Israel harvested okay, why don't you read it? You made this appear just for a second.
For the rest of time.
Are you part Arab? Up to you.
Also, speaking of organ harvesting, I mean, that's...
Okay, let's pause right here, okay? So Hasan just brought up an article, all right? So Israel harvested organs in 90s without consent. Israel has admitted that in the 1990s, its forensic pathologists harvested organs from dead bodies, including Palestinians, without permission of their families. The issue emerged with publication of an interview with the then head of Israel's Abu Kabir Forensic Institute. Okay, this from NBC. The interview was conducted in 2000 by an American academic. Who released it because of a huge controversy last summer over allegation by... Okay, even if that's true, we're talking about now, okay? We're talking about right now, okay? We're talking about now, okay? So, you know, I don't know why you're bringing up like this harvested organs in the 90s, okay? Nobody cares about what happens in the 90s. People care about what's happening right now in China, okay? Not what happened in the 90s. So I don't know why you're bringing this up, but okay, I got you.
You know, but that's besides the point.
Oh, by the way, do you want Hasan's video to be full screen, or do you prefer it like this format? Up to you guys.
Sense if A, he's being paid, or B, he has the political complexities of a 5-year-old. I know America Bad is a meme that people laugh at online, but with Hasan, this does actually seem to be the beginning and the end of his analysis.
Two principles. Let me explain to you. 2 principles that you should keep with you. Yeah, so this is a classic. This is something that I hear mostly from Sex Pestany and his orbiters. But the idea that like my commentary on political matters is simply reduced to America Bad is incredibly, incredibly dumb. It's ironic that this is yet another case of pure projection where Ethan is saying, oh, his commentary is just literally America Bad. At no point, if I simply stated America Bad over and over and over again, how the fuck would I fill 8 hours of space every goddamn day? Why is it that these people never actually make the argument America good? Why is it that these people never actually dive deeper into why I say America bad, for example? And this is, once again...
Okay, so again, this is like straw man. Okay, this is a straw man argument. The argument isn't like them saying that you are literally America bad, okay? It's because you view every single geopolitical conflict through the lenses of America bad, right? Whenever there's a geopolitical conflict, you just try to find the side that America has supported in the past, and then you just happen to be finding every single other possible reason to be against that side that has partnered with America in the past, right? Like, for example, with Ukraine and Russia, you downplay Russia's actions. Ukrainians have criticized Hasan, right? The reason for this is because, again, all right, Ukraine is trying to appeal to the West, right? And so therefore America bad, right? Defending China. Why do you defend China? Why do you find reasons to defend China and downplay China compared to the average person and misrepresent positions and lie about things happening to the Uyghur Muslims? Well, because China is anti-America. So therefore, America bad, China good. Well, let's just take a look at Israel-Palestine. Israel, you know, funded partially by the United States today, right? Why is it that you are so pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel? Well, maybe it's because America bad, right? It's really as simple as this. It's literally as simple as that. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Obviously, a reductive clip out of context where I'm describing a complex position. Let's take a look. Coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces
He's as Turkish as I am black, okay? But okay, moving on.
never align with the Western forces. So when I look at other countries, I look at the regional actor, whoever the regional power player is, and then I look at who is backed by the Western superpowers. That's a principle that you could take home with you if you want to actually be moral or if you want to be smart about the way. As I've said before, time and time again, okay, from both my own personal experiences and I'm Turkish, okay? Turkey is a NATO nation. Turkey is the way that it is specifically because
Yeah, if you don't want to, if you're so anti-America to the point where you rail against America for 8 hours a day, according to him, by the way, then fine, all right, get the fuck out of here. We don't need you here, okay? Go and be somewhere else, because at least Bad Apanada doesn't live in the fucking United States, right? So he doesn't look like a fucking cuck.
Turkey is a NATO nation. Do you understand? And in that process, during the Cold War, because it was supposed to be a bulwark against the growing socialist movement in the country, they actually suppressed Kurdish liberation movements, socialist movements, trade unionist movements. The American government, by way of the CIA, created a right-wing ultranationalist paramilitary, the MHP party. Okay, the MHP party, the Grey Wolves. This, you know how Ethan's community will fucking call me out for like, oh, he did this. He's actually secretly a Turkish ultranationalist. You can only arrive at that position if you're a fucking moron. I have, again, countless hours of talking about the history of the MHP party and how the CIA did an Operation Gladio like they did in Italy, but in Turkey with the MHP ultranationalist paramilitary groups that they violently sent to destroy any sort of trade unionist, socialist, or workers movement. Many of those movements comprised of Kurds that wanted their own version of Kurdish liberation movements, as a matter of fact. MHP was responsible for that. MHP is still a part of the governing coalition alongside the AKP in Turkey right now. The ultra-nationalist fascists are still in power in this country, in my country. Okay? We have officially reached the boundary of $75,000. I'm very proud of you guys. Okay?
No, there is no evidence to suggest that the Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, in Turkey was created by the CIA. While the CIA did have various clandestine operations in Turkey during the Cold War, including a stay-behind network known as the Counter-Guerrilla, and maintained moles within Turkey's National Intelligence Organization, or called MIT, okay, not to be confused with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, there is no historical documentation supporting the claim that the MHP was a CIA creation. Okay, so again, all right, Hasan is misrepresenting, lying, upplaying the involvement of America in foreign politics and downplaying the autonomy of foreign people. This time, he is downplaying the autonomy and the choosings of his own people because he is a literal fucking propagandist. Okay, so yeah.
There's more I wanted to.
He's describing how not to assure something. He starts with a preconceived notion of a bad actor. He's looking for proofs of his already made conclusions instead of using the scientific method. Yeah, he's using confirmation bias, right? Yeah.
There's more I wanted to get into. Bro, you're making this unwatchable. I know. Context and nuance is silly. Way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home with you. All of a sudden, magically, you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
Okay, how are you doing, guys? We are just over 1 hour in. Are you guys still wanting to see me cover more of this? Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun. I'm having a good time covering this. But, you know, I'm just checking in with you guys, just having a mood check, okay? Let's have a mood check. Are we doing good? We doing good? Everyone doing good? Should we continue? Shall we continue? Larry just said, I start by looking at who the U.S. backs to know who is the bad guy. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's interesting. Okay. All right. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of debunking his points. All right. I want to do my best job. I can't research literally everything, but I can research the basic segments that Hasan is bringing up in order to, you know, talk about which points that he's misrepresenting or lying about. Okay. But yeah, I mean, simply put, all I'm going to say is if Hasan tells me to Google, I Google, and if Google contradicts him, then I got to point that out, okay? All right, let's continue.
Seeing all of this, I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership. I started to wonder if I had...
Also, I don't think he saw any of this. He didn't see any of this. He already arrived at the position that I was bad after an entire year of fucking shitting on me with snide remarks as I was actively defending him in the process. For all the fucking foot soldiers that are in here to see the other side of this story for once, welcome. Okay, I have an 8-minute compilation that he couldn't even sit through where I was defending Ethan Klein, including this is, I guess, from what, January 11th, 2024. Ethan was hitting me with snide remarks over and over and over again while I was simultaneously defending him. Okay, I was simultaneously defending him from people that kept bringing him up and saying like, oh, he said this, he said that. I didn't want to be fucking focusing on drama. Okay, I did not want to entertain.
Okay, personally, I don't care about this, like, fucking he said, she said, high school drama shit, okay? I care about what geopolitical, you know, kinds of takes that he's going to be giving that may or may not be true, okay? But let's just let him ramble.
The drama perverts, because I thought it was irrelevant what Ethan Klein was saying, because I assumed that he was just doing goofs and gaffes. In any case, we'll get to that in a little bit as well. Okay, the entire premise here so far in the 9 minutes and 39 seconds that we watched is that Ethan is saying Hasan Piker groomed me, a 40-year-old man with the political convictions of a sea cucumber. I had no way of thinking on my own, and this 30-year-old man at the time groomed me into believing dangerous radical ideas. Dangerous radical ideas like what, you might ask? Socialism. Socialism being good. He made too many convincing...
Hasan, you're 45. You're pretty much like grooming other people's age. I'm pretty sure he's not 45, but it's funny because Hasan is so insecure about his age that it's just funny to say that he's 45, okay?
Arguments. He was hot and he groomed me and it scared me. It scared what happened to me. Scary man. Stupid, sexy Hasan.
Any idea who this guy actually is. And then this happened.
We have breaking news out of Israel this morning where Hamas has launched a surprise attack within Israel's borders.
Like, this is bullshit. This is a video that he made a year after our podcast ended. Okay. He developed this resentment over the course of the year. He didn't like start hearing me say these things that I was saying directly to him and see it in a different light. This is pure narrative. Okay. Pure narrative. He's doing post hoc rationalizations. And I think the reason why he's doing these post hoc rationalizations is because he wants to convince you, the viewer, to being like, he duped me and he was duping you with his scary, elusive, mysterious ways of doing propaganda. The real...
I think it's interesting that he basically just said, oh, I defended Ethan when I thought he was on my side. Well, I'm a fool for trying to make shit up about him and lie about what he is saying now. Like, you know what's funny is that he doesn't even defend Ethan all that much, right? He just lets his fucking audience say whatever the fuck he wants about, you know, Ethan. Meanwhile, when he does actually defend Ethan on stream, right, he's not aggressively pushing back on people. He's just letting people do whatever the fuck they want. And then, like, when people are, but then when people say, like, the most ridiculous things, like Frogan, right? Now it's like he just turns a blind eye.
Story of what took place is that in the aftermath of October 7, okay, in the aftermath of October 7, we had disagreements. We had significant disagreements. Ethan wanted to hyper-focus on the feelings of Israelis and potentially the fears of American Jews in the aftermath of October 7. And my argument always was hyper-focusing on the broader picture because I knew what was about to happen.
Hopefully Hasan will be charged by supporting terrorists and lose some money. I'm not going to say anything, but there is one thing that the Trump administration can do that will make me very, very happy, but I'm not going to say it, okay? I'm not going to say it, okay?
Because history, contrary to what Hosbarists like to tell you, did not start on October 7, 2023. History started far before October 7. Zionism was an exterminationist, ethno-religious supremacist ideology that is identical
He's not going to jail. He's rich as fuck. Yeah, I heard Asmongold say that.
to Nazi fascism
enough,
far before October 7. As the Euro...
Like, whenever he needs money, I guess he could always just beg, you know, Uncle Chink Uyghur, all right, to make a small loan of, like, fucking $500,000 to bail him out, I guess. But yeah.
Human Rights Monitor and the Save the Kids Foundation both correctly pointed to in 2023, before October 7, 2023 was the deadliest year for children in Palestine. And before then, 2022 was the deadliest year for children in Palestine. Why was that happening to the Palestinian children? If history started on October 7, how could that have happened? How could that have happened?
More money than Shank? Yeah, he might, maybe. Who knows?
And the reality of the matter is, Ethan knows better. He should know better. He lived in Israel. He hated Israel. He talked about how Israel was an exterminationist, crazy country that was incredibly right-wing. In 2021, he posted an Instagram story about it, which I'm sure will he'll bring up in a little bit to show his bona fides as to why he's so pro-Palestinian.
Being rich and anti-capitalism is the grift I need to get into. Yeah, true. Based.
Overnight.
After the shock of October 7th, I noticed a huge increase of anti-Semitic comments from Hasan's stream and Discord, including from his head mod. I was disturbed that Hasan...
Yeah, let's see what these anti-Semitic comments are, okay? Now, remember, there's a lot of story making happening here, okay? There's a lot of story making happening here to make it seem as though, you know, I just showed a very different reality, or I duped this 40-year-old man into I don't know, dangerous radical ideas, and I actually radicalized his audience, not realizing that his audience actually radicalized on their own. They were radicalized by the reality. Many people in his audience, including many people in my audience, were completely oblivious to the horrifying practice of apartheid and genocide that Israel was doing before October 7. October 7 was an act that made a lot of people in the United States of America pay attention to it, okay? And they
Okay. This is just about the most craziest thing that he has said so far, but let's let him cook a little bit longer, okay?
Organically started realizing that the statements coming from Ethan Klein were actually at odds with how they felt about the situation. Now, is it because they were becoming anti-Semitic? No, it's because they started recognizing the reality of Israel's occupation and genocidal practices. So when Israel was doing genocide, which Ethan, again, goes back and forth on, sometimes he thinks it's a genocide, other times he thinks it's a war. His wife certainly doesn't seem to think so. Hila, who was a soldier in the Israeli occupying force, which, again, as I talked about in our debate, where Ethan admitted that she could be considered a terrorist, by the way, her statements on this are even more right-wing than Ethan's, okay? There's always a steady push and pull here. And of course, his audience, organically, a progressive audience that he had cultivated, not because of leftovers, but even like the girly pops that wanted to care about the goofs and gaffs, obviously started
By the way, okay, so let me just explain what he just said. So what Hasan just said is that October 7 raised a lot of awareness for the issue of Israel and Palestine, all right? But if you think about it, for just a second, what do you think he's saying here, okay? So he defends a lot of things that happened on October 7. He barely gives any ground to any of the things that have happened. So, and then he credits October 7 with raising awareness. What he's actually doing is that he's saying October 7 was worth it. He basically makes the argument that October 7 is worth it because it has basically helped people gain more awareness of Israel v. Palestine, right? Which is just pretty much on par with Hasan. So, you know, epic. All right.
recognizing that some of the stuff that Ethan was saying was damn near identical to what Ben Shapiro was saying, or what Charlie Kirk was saying, or what any number of right-wing commentators were saying about Israel. One of the moments that was majorly consequential is the moment that Ethan actually decided to no longer, when...
That's such a low blow to call his wife a terrorist. Well, I mean, like, he was pretty much saying it without saying it. I mean, it's better to say it than to, I guess, I don't know, hide it forever.
Ethan decided to no longer be on...
I like how funny it is, by the way, for Hasan to say during his debate with Ethan Klein that, oh yeah, I don't think your wife is a terrorist. But then, you know, the moment that he's in the safety of his own stream, he feels totally safe now to say it because he is a coward and nothing will ever change that. So
Twitter, part of the reason why he left Twitter, now he says is because of all of the anti-Semitism, and there was plenty of anti-Semitism on Twitter after Elon's takeover, so there is a plausible deniability there. But the reason why he left Twitter was because he couldn't deal with the fact that he kept wanting to say something, okay? He kept wanting to say something about Israel, and it was always in defense of Israel, okay? That famous moment is, and I'm sure someone can fucking bring it up for me right now, that famous moment is when he looked at Mark Barg and his post, a Muslim sex worker, an Iranian Muslim sex worker, who he said, this is it. This was the moment. Enjoy your drugs, and being a sex worker, Hamas would kill you on the spot. This is what he tweeted about Muhammad. I'm in South Beach having fun on drugs.
So are you gonna play his video or are you not gonna play? Is this like just one of these ranting videos where you just basically say fucking nothing, or like what's going on here? Are you gonna play his video, or are you not gonna play his video, dude?
This is literally no different than what Israel defenders say.
I like how this is supposed to be a refutation of like the context nuke, but instead this just basically turned into an entire fucking Hasan stream. Like, I'm not here to watch Hasan fucking yap on about like Ethan Klein making problematic tweets, okay? Also, I'm pretty sure Ethan Klein wouldn't fucking take this one back, all right? This isn't a problematic, tweet to have, right? Like, of course somebody who would like, I don't know, somebody who supports Hamas, right? It would be killed by Hamas. Okay, yes. He makes it unwatchable. How?
The idea that you can't show solidarity to a people that are being ethnically cleansed is ridiculous. The idea that you cannot show solidarity to the Palestinians because you have fantasized that those Palestinians would be homophobic and fucking kill you and viciously kill you is ridiculous. Even if that was the case, you could still show solidarity to people, even if they were homophobic, even if they were anti-sex work. Yeah, I know. A lot of people in underdeveloped nations that have been victim of colonial exploitation do not have the same woke mindset that we do here in the Western world, okay? That doesn't change this dynamic at all. I still don't think they should be fucking destroyed. I still don't think that their lives should be ruined, as a matter of fact. No one deserves genocide, period. It doesn't matter if their opinions are not aligned with mine. This is simply trying to engage in the act of pink washing. It's also a conflation between ISIS and Hamas. Hamas is a militant organization that was designed under the rulership of the oppressive Israeli apartheid regime.
They are terrorists, opportunists who seek personal profit under occupation. Okay? Like, what a fantastic reframing. Like, you might as well just say Hitler was cool and liked dogs and did not like eating meat, right? Like, what a crazy reframing of the entire fucking conflict and what Hamas is, right? Like, bloody hell.
Hamas's tactics have evolved throughout time and become more radical. Hamas's tactics have become more violent throughout time, but that violence is still maintained. The standard of violence is still maintained by the colonial power in this process, which would be Israel, because Israel has gotten more and more.
That's what Hamas says, that Hitler's cool. Yeah, but we're gonna conveniently ignore that, right? Even though all of these Islamic terrorist groups love Hitler, by the way.
More violent throughout time. That's why the cliche here is that the first Intifada was fought with stones and work stoppages, and the second Intifada was still relatively peaceful, but there were bus bombings on top of that. Okay, bombing.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? People were suicide bombing. What the fuck are you on about? What do you mean relatively peaceful? Wait. Are we talking about the same event here?
At bus stations. What could have taken place in between that process? Well, if you watched any number of different instances where I've talked about this issue, especially when talking with Zach Foster, a Jewish historian, an academic that has dedicated his entire life's work to Palestine and Palestinian liberation groups, you would know why the Palestinian militancy has become more violent throughout this process, because Israel has become infinitely more violent in its colonial occupation. Why did he even attack this guy? I think he probably said something like "death to America" or something. I don't fucking know. He was wilding out on the timeline. Okay, there's more to this though. He had a back and forth. Does anyone have that? Do you guys have the back and forth that took place? Because he expands on his ideology here.
So for the second Intifada, it said Basilam reports that 1,053 Israelis were killed by Palestinian attacks. So is this the same fucking second Intifada that we're talking about? Like, I'm literally looking right here. Here, I'll literally even pull it up. Okay, Jesus. Are we talking about the same fucking Intifada here? Here. The casualty data, the sources do not 1,053 Israelis were killed by Palestinian attacks, okay? Meanwhile, okay, almost 5,000 Palestinians were killed by Israeli security forces, okay? And 44 Palestinians killed by Israeli civilians. and 577 Palestinians killed by Palestinians. All right. So let's be very fucking clear. Okay. This was far from peaceful, my dude, sir. Okay. Jesus Christ. It sounded like a conflict to me.
Yeah, I stopped using Twitter to protest Elon. No, you stopped using Twitter because you couldn't handle the backlash of your racist ass comments towards a queer Muslim content creator. Do you think we forgot? You are a ghoul, fucking freak. I'm the freak and ghoul.
Why the fuck are you? I'm sorry, I have to skip over this. This stupid, you know, Twitter. Okay, I can't do this. Nope. Mm-mm. All right, let's just get to this next part. Okay, Jesus Christ, I can't do it. Okay, no. Mm-mm. Him like hand wringing over Twitter. I can't do this. Nope. Stupid.